don't get that much out of trees, do you?
But there is.
Yeah. You wouldn't be doing that. You'd be driving a lawn
When you go,
tractor up there.
twice a year on well, yeah.
You know, and he just wants to fight.
Yes.
And he's all, oh, why are you picking on me? And
Yeah,
the
he's-
town is doing this and
He's
somebody
probably
else
been like
is
that
doing
since he's been 6
it.
years
Yeah,
old.
I know. Exactly. You're 100%
Weren't you a
right.
principal? Yeah.
You don't have to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, so,
He's like the kid that, the Leroy in the class.
Yeah.
Keep picking on me.
Well, I thought Pam was gonna be here.
Pam's taking the low road now. They're overlooking her.
Yeah, with a lot.
And her attitude is, and I respect it. Her attitude is, you know what? They're overlooking me, you know,
Well, why wouldn't they want her back at the meeting?
they don't wanna pay her to do the recording.
Oh, jeez.
And they wanna pay her like in a stupid scale. And they basically, you know.
Taking 2 steps back.
Yeah, they really are.
Yeah.
They really are, cause she's sued for now.
Who's big brother Snakes?
Yeah. Her manager.
I don't know what I'm gonna think of you if you accept it.
Sorry, you done with assessments?
They're screwing her over, we have, and she's aware of it.
Yeah.
Her attitude is,
You film Thursday and then replace somebody else's stuff.
you know, without saying it, and I respect it.
That's how
They're not paying me, they don't want me to
signed on for
know.
a fresh
Answer
term,
me these
as
questions.
it turns out.
There's somebody else.
2 months later,
I go somewhere else. Because I just don't wanna, I don't wanna take advantage of, cause she'll answer me on a personal level. That's not the way she is.
I sent a letter in.
Steve, I know he's been the,
It's a 3-year term.
Oh, is it?
no, for Cumberland Farms, they're actually gonna be on the 19th.
I know that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I knew that. I had that on my notes,
To be renewed. We'll come to find out.
as a no-show, and they're coming in on the 19th.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know
Everything
they said
that-
there was an
right.
opening. I went down to the
That's what I did too.
But everything else should be,
Everything is the same as the back of the last agenda.
Yep.
Did you get anything from him on paperwork for the forest thing and anything to countries and stuff?
nothing that I saw from, her, but if you wanna ask it tonight, I can probably talk. It's 4 inches per grade.
You're gonna be called on for that,
Okay.
so
Is that for all the tanks?
it's gonna be a public hearing.
But they're pulling the tanks at the old Cumberland Farms over
Yeah.
there. That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at 7 o'clock, I'd like to call the Inland Wetlands Watercourse Commission to order. First order of business would be, and this is a special meeting, 2 things. One, I'd like to apologize to those people who's on the agenda for tonight because we didn't get to you at the last regular meeting. So, you know, I appreciate the inconvenience that we're causing you and how you dealt with it, so thank you very much. Having said that, the roll call, Steve Molinelli, Chair, present, Rush Davenport, Vice Chair,
Present.
Jackie Mulvey, absent, informed, Jeffrey Lippincott,
Present.
Mary Ann Marino, absent, informed, Frank Oliveri,
Present.
and Gary Paganelli.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum, so we can conduct business. Lance, on the agenda, she has approval of minutes for the special meeting 23.
It's actually gonna be at the next meeting.
That's what I
so that
thought.
would-
Okay, that's
yep.
why I'm asking you. Okay,
That was nice. The meeting I missed.
first order of business is application 23-6. The owner is Scott and Bridget Rulo. The applicant is Bridget Rulo, 129 Shore Drive, clear stumping and boulder removal. You want to come up, introduce yourselves, and please talk to us?
What's that? Yeah, I just.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I'm Scott Rulo. All right, what we're going for is, we're submitting a erosion control plan for the stump and some of the boulder removal. We're not gonna get too crazy with pulling too many rocks. out of our lot that we have across the street from our house. What's the address?
129,
129.
yeah.
129 Shore Drive. We have a silt fence plan, I believe you have. And there's 3 catch basins in there. I have silt bags that go in, all of them. We'll have again, the silt fence, silt bags, it's pretty level. And Michael realized that also when he came by. You know, there's very, very little pitch, you know, but we're still gonna put up the silt fence all the way around. Yes, hydro seed it, and then we have, actually, I forgot my glasses tonight, so, planting plan, we'd like to put some concolor fir trees, saplings, and some, maples.
Okay, just for the record and just for public information, this application came about as a result of basically you were clear cutting the property of all the trees. And there was concern on the part of the wetlands agent regarding an application, and there was concern from neighbors regarding what's going on.
So we had complaints from our neighbors. After the fact, he said, one of our neighbors said a branch went from our tree, went through his garage, broke his windshield. Never heard anything about that before. And when we purchased this piece of property, our idea was to clear those trees because they wreaked havoc on my vehicles before. You know, we had
What, did you park
tree
them on that
come right
side, or-
across,
Oh,
take
okay,
out the
all
power
right.
lines in our driveway.
But were they decayed trees?
They were,
They were
oh,
all dead.
I have so much footage of holes,
Yes.
like unbelievable.
So they're hollowed out?
All hollow. Hollow,
So for the record, I'm Bridget Rulo. I was watching when most of the trees, when they were dropped, literally exploded on impact. They were so hollow and dead. And they were, you know, limbs were coming down. We had widow makers. And
Hanging.
the day after they finished taking the trees down was the day that the baby was killed in Southwood with a windstorm. Every time we had a windstorm, an ice storm, we were always worried about, and they were 95 to 105 footers. They would have killed somebody, taken out a house. So every time we had a storm, we were always worried about that happening. So we finally needed to.
You had them professionally taken down?
Absolutely.
Michael saw the trees were
Oh, yeah, and
decayed.
he agreed they were dead and needed. He had no problem with them being taken down.
Is there any, well, my quick question is, and I know the site I was by there today, it is a very level site. I think with a silt fence, you would adequately protect any debris from coming into even the catch basins from that. What is the intended use? I mean, I haven't seen your site plan with I don't have it with the foliage or the plants there, but what is the intended use of that area? I don't know if that's a zoning issue or not, or.
We're just keeping it a vacant lot. We have wood, our
Okay.
wood storage, which Michael said is not a problem, so we use it for wood,
Firewood.
for our wood stove in our house.
Okay.
Michael said that's not a problem.
Was
there
there
a
a
Just put-
driveway for part of it, or?
No, it's literally just a vacant lot, no driveway.
In the past, there's been vehicles, trailers parked over there.
I do have my landscape trailer, not like small trailer that I throw
Utility trailer
leaves in and
sometime,
stuff like
yeah.
that, in there. There's,
I mean, there are, on Shore Drive, everybody on Shore Drive uses it as parking. We can't control who parks there.
Well, it's
We were-
private property.
We were told in the past that if we put up a no parking sign, we're not allowed to do that by the town because it's property, anyone can park, you know, they can't park necessarily in the lot, but.
They can park on the street in front of
town
it.
owns.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we have no control
And they-
over who parks around the perimeter.
But if there was a driveway in it, you would be able to prevent somebody from parking in front of that, right?
I would hope so.
Yeah, no, I don't know, I'm just curious, I don't know if it's within our purview for how it's gonna be used.
Well,
You're
I think it's,
No, we can't afford to.
You're not putting a driveway.
Yeah, so.
well, one at a time, one at a time. The intent is to clear the land, seed it, somehow vegetate it, and make it more attractive than it was and safer than it was. It's my sense of what you're
Yes,
saying.
that's exactly
Okay.
what we're doing.
Go ahead. My only concern of it is that, just coincidentally, after the last month's meeting, 2 weeks ago, when I came in to talk to Pam about what this new agenda for tonight would look like, there was a gentleman there, and he introduced himself. Apparently, he's one of your neighbors. I don't recall his name. He was somewhat concerned about the future of what it was going to be and whether it would be any impact on his house at all. So, you know, that raises a concern of mine as to whether or not we need a public hearing to bring any concerned neighbors into the conversation that might have some kind of support or objection to what you're proposing.
Okay,
I'll give you in a
so-
minute. I'll give you a minute. So, you know what I'm saying? So, that would be a committee decision, whether or not we hold a public hearing.
I will tell you, the gentleman who, I can tell you who it was that complained. He was the one that complained the most that the trees were an eyesore, that he was worried about them coming down. He wanted the trees cleared. He put up a fence on our property.
I don't
So,
know, like I said, I can't
We're
identify him
doing
because I don't
actually
recall it.
exactly what he wants us to do.
But let's just hold on for a minute. The question I have of the committee is, as a committee, do we feel there's need for a public hearing because it's in the middle of lots of other houses that may have concern or not concern? And there would be two reasons for a public hearing, one interest and one if it's a significant impact. I think based on what we discussed earlier, the significant impact is less of a concern because it's level property, the trees are down already. So, you know, now does it have public interest?
I don't
Go ahead,
believe,
Frank.
I don't believe that it justifies a public hearing one bit. I don't believe that we have, if they're sitting in here telling us that they're gonna stump it, clean it up, and grass it down,
And make 'em more-
that's their intentions. We can't push to say what's your future intentions. In order for them to do anything in the future, they'd have to
Then they have to
come
come
to
back
us.
again.
They'd have to go to zoning,
Or
right?
ZBA.
Yeah.
Or ZBA,
Well,
so I think it's such a simple thing that it should be an agent determination. I don't see anything with this.
Agree with that.
I think anytime there's an application, one of the main questions that should be asked, is there a need for a public hearing? So it's formality. It's not intentional, it's specific to this. It's just a formality. So if this commission feels that there's no reason to conduct a public hearing, then we can move ahead and deal with what's in front of us. And if we're satisfied that all of the information in front of us we're comfortable with, or there's something missing, we can proceed. Jeff, you're shaking your
Well,
head.
I think, like Gary said, their plan is to put the silt fence around, which is all the protection we need. They're to pull the stumps, seed it, and put new vegetation in there.
Right.
You know, they're not putting a house on it, they're not putting a driveway in it, as long as they follow their plan, it's a slam dunk.
Yeah,
I mean,
seems very straightforward.
One at a time, go ahead. Gary?
It's, to me, it's enhancing that corner from what I see by a long shot, you know what I mean, by getting rid of stumps, cleaning up, put the grass in.
Yeah, I guess I'm just kind of looking at it as just from a wetland standpoint and the lake, and you haven't, you know, it's got a silt fence, it's a flat lot, there's really no impact to the watershed. So maybe, it's all down now, it's flat, I mean, it's not, you're not building, like I said, you're not building something that's blocking someone's view or, you know, preventing somebody from enjoying their property. I mean, the trees are down.
Do
so
we,
I-
playing devil's advocate, do we pay any attention to the potential complaint or the concern that a neighbor raised with Pam and myself in Pam's office 2 weeks ago?
I say no.
I say no.
Yeah, I don't see what we would have grounds for, in a sense. I mean, it's like everybody has a neighbor that doesn't like change.
Doesn't like change. Doesn't like change.
A little bit, you know what I mean?
There's no downside to this, at all. And those are-
All right, so
there are
we've
some
ruled out
stumps.
the need for a public hearing.
Right.
So now we're at a point now, because we're not gonna push this off to the next meeting or another month from now. Do we have any other concerns that we would want addressed before we move to vote one way or the other on this project?
To be honest with you, I think they went over and above. I mean, they have silt fence, they have their silt fence up, they have bags in the catch basins.
Overkill.
And for as flat as the lot is, you know what I mean? I think they've overdone their sedimentation control. That's,
Lance, any concerns?
No, but I will obviously continue to monitor as things are going on if you wanna go that way, so.
Well, I mean, I think if they have, you know, they know if they wanna put a driveway in there, that's something different and.
Right.
One would have to.
Trigger other things, so.
Yeah, but no, it's, you know, it's their property, they have the right to
Make a
do that,
motion?
do to it.
We're ready.
I make a motion to accept or approve. Well, now, there's two different IWWCs 23-6, but then on the,
No, you had the wrong number with it.
okay, one is, somewhere I saw 23.
Yes, that was the
23-3.
original. That was what the agenda was for the first
So
meeting.
it's 23-3?
There's three, it should be,
Okay,
yes.
to approve with the standard clauses, nothing special, and bond, $500, $300? No bond?
I don't see a lot. There's no chance of any erosion. I mean, it's they live right there, you gotta just keep it maintained naturally.
Well, there are sewer taps, you know, drain pipe, drain sewers there.
But they have, that's.
They have
what
the
this
big.
detail
That's the
is.
silt fence. So the
No,
question
no,
is,
No,
that's
that
this
is still
detail
big.
down here.
Silt bags.
In
They have
the
a
basin.
bag and everything going in those drains. They've gone over and above. As far as, they're not just putting the silt fence up, they're taking the catch basin top off,
So
putting the silt bags down inside.
so the bond would be
Kind of
if
a
they didn't put the
wait,
silt
one at a
fence
time.
up.
What, Jeff?
The bond would be if they didn't put the silt fence up, or didn't maintain it. But really, if they didn't put it up, then that would be
We
a
will be
problem.
putting it up.
Okay. No need for bond?
No need for a bond. Okay. Is there a second to the motion? Gary, any discussion on it other than what we've had already? All those in favor of approval, please raise your hands. All right, it's unanimous? Okay? Just let Lance know when you're going to begin.
Okay.
And Lance will ensure that everything that's on paper becomes reality on the ground in terms of silk fences and things of that sort, so that, and if there's a violation, then Lance will pick it up as you go along. Because you're gonna be in and out of that property on a regular basis until all those stumps are out.
Right.
And the boulders are removed, or whatever you go, or whatever, the extent of what you're doing.
Right.
So it's not gonna be done in a couple of days.
No, it likely will. We have a.
When do you intend to
we have
begin?
a contractor that's gonna be doing the
When
work.
do you intend to begin, roughly?
As soon as the weather clears, so hoping within the next, by the end of April,
Okay.
but it depends on the weather. Hoping by the end of April, if not mid-May, it'll be pushed
What's that?
through.
Probably closer to mid-May.
Okay. And how long do you think it'll take?
The
It'll
work,
be-
just within a week,
It's gonna be continuous, right?
Yeah.
Basically.
but then the seeding will be weather
Yeah.
dependent.
Okay, good luck with your project.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next application is 23-7, which is a modification of 20-22. The owner are Robert and Tracy Bates. The applicant is Robert Bates at 428 East Wakefield Boulevard. And they're modifying the site plan to include a deck off the shed. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. My name is Robert Bates, and my wife Tracy apologizes. She couldn't make it tonight.
What's that again, Mike, if you don't mind, Rob? Good, thank you.
that better?
We'll find out when we get the tape.
All right, so as background, the original permit was essentially I live on a hill, and the original permit was essentially to put in 3 walls and a shed. The shed was really for my benefit because I knew the years I was gonna be able to carry a kayak up and down the hill were dwindling, so I needed something to store my larger water toys down there. The walls were ideally to help create a levelish area for the family to enjoy the waterfront. So that's how it started. When the contract, well, let me also say, if I knew then, what I knew now, what I know now, wouldn't have to be here tonight, so I apologize, and I appreciate you guys listening. Due to the topography, the ledge and whatnot, while we still have 3 walls and a shed, they're not in the exact location, they're not in the same location as originally planned. So, I'm not familiar with all the procedures here, I'm still learning. It basically came to my attention through Mike Stankoff. We got a zoning violation, which has been remedied. And he also said I needed to do an as-built, which is before you. Please bear in mind with the as-bills, not that it's your problem, but one of the reasons I had to do the as-built then was because the bank got wind of the violation and I was having problems. So this as-built, we're not done, so I don't know if you can call it an as-built. While the walls and the shed are done, we haven't done the landscaping items, you know, more topsoil, things of that nature. So what I'm trying to say is, although it's an as-built, not done yet. I don't know what I need to address. The modification with respect to the shed, it was put in the place that was where it could be built and do the least disruption to the environment. Like I said, there was ledge there, so minimal drilling was done. We didn't know all this rock was under the surface. The shed was approved for 12 by 16, but we built a 10 by 14.
In the same location, or?
Same general area, but no, it's not in the same location as on the original
Right. Was
drawing.
it closer to water or further back?
It was closer to the water. I don't recall you have the measurements there. I believe.
Yeah. Yes, I don't.
Is it right up against the piece of ledge?
It's on ledge.
Okay. So it looks like it goes up right from the shed. Right up on ledge. Looks like the ledge goes right up
I
from
did provide
behind the
pictures.
shed.
I believe I provided pictures.
Ah, okay.
Pam was supposed to put them in the folder.
So, Donald Plank presented this before.
It was for the deck.
Yeah, it was for the deck, if I recall,
Walkway,
right? That's,
right, walkway and deck. That was the original submission,
I thought the only issue was the deck.
right?
That wasn't originally
We're talking about
permitted.
the area where the door opens in front of the shed.
No, we're talking about off the road, off East Boulevard. You were gonna put a walkway and in the back of the house, a shed. I mean, the deck. That was the original
I'm not
submission.
doing a walk, I'm not following. There's nothing, when you say in front of the house, you're talking about the roadside or the?
The roadside.
I haven't done anything on the
No,
roadside.
there's no,
Nothing up here.
there
This is all
used to be
leased out.
several,
No, I know, this is different, but I'm just saying, 428 was about 4 months ago, 3 months ago, right?
well, more than that. It was probably closer to a
But
year
that
ago
was because we
now.
both, I mean, I went to see the property, and it was a walkway with the deck in the back.
You know, I don't know what you went to see. I'm just saying, at one time, prior to, well, after the present, Mr. Bates owned the property, there was a building on the street, basically, 20 or 30 feet set back off the road. once he acquired ownership of that property, you leveled that building.
That building's demolished, nothing's gonna
That's
be.
been gone for a number of years, so
That
everything,
was, that was 430 East Wakefield, that's
Right.
gone, there's never
Right.
gonna be anything there.
right.
Right.
That's all I think.
And everything we're talking about now is on the waterfront.
What's this?
Well, it's the size of the deck is what? Approximately.
I didn't bring the right
It's
folder.
3.5 by 5.
It's like 3.5 by
The
5.
The dimension, it's enough to open the door
Yeah.
and ingress and egress.
All right,
It- You can't put a chair there.
All right, so let me back up again here. You said you got an approval for a 192 square foot shed.
From you guys, from
us.
Wetlands.
You built a 140 square foot shed.
Correct. We did 10 by 14.
You have a 5 by 5 or a 5 by 6 deck out front.
It's odd shaped, so
Or around about, okay, you have 30. You're under 52 feet of what we approved to start with,
Right, it could have
And
been,
its purpose.
okay? So, you know, what is, in the deck would have been, what is the deck made of now? Wood?
I'm not a builder. It's a Trex-like,
Okay, that's enough, because the building itself would have been impervious, your deck is pervious,
It's a game.
okay? So,
Are we referring to a deck off the front of the?
I do know the fellow in the building,
Oh,
who's
that
still in the
one.
hardware store.
so he's got less coverage
yeah, but I understand, yeah.
right now.
So what we're saying is he's asking for the ability to put a deck on where we had given him permission to put a building on.
Correct.
Right.
And this is pervious for the other.
I think what happened from history, from that the contractor was reluctant to provide us with an as-built, and we went back and forth with that, and then you became involved.
I was not,
And-
yeah, on behalf of my contractor, who, believe it or not, his parents used to own the house, so he does take great pride in what he's doing.
Oh, the walls are
And-
beautiful. The walls are beautiful.
It's, well, they're expensive too, but anyway. No, look, he is a good guy with a big heart, and he might have some difficulty communicating sometimes. But yes, I understand he was before you on my behalf, but,
We incurred resistance.
okay, and then I
Okay.
did speak, I think this is about the time, that's probably about the time my bank called, which is not what you want to hear before your daughter's getting married. And that's when I spoke. I figured since Don was, I'm so far away, I'm 2 hours away, so I figured, okay, let Don know, he'd do it, he knows everybody, and he's local, let him handle it. But then I spoke to Mike, and I got a better understanding of things, and I said to Don, I said, it's all right, I'll take care of this. So I'm doing the best I can here.
Yeah, and you are.
Okay.
And we appreciate you coming before us and the inconvenience from last, 2 weeks ago, so we understand all of that. Are there any concerns as to what he would like to do to remedy this situation and modify his application?
I think we just need to approve it.
Again,
No,
you know,
approve the change.
to that, no.
It's a
I went-
modification, just.
I was at the site, I mean, I didn't really look at I didn't realize it was, what we're looking at was way back there, but, I mean, the site is exactly the way it's drawn.
right.
Yeah, there's no, I mean, it'd be good to get this grass growing, but we don't
Well,
have any control of
That,
that.
you reminded me of another question I have. When I'm done, do you guys need an as-built, so it's in the file?
This is your.
Lance?
The only difference would be
Would we need
dimensions you're gonna see.
Would we need an updated as-built,
After
or would
adding
it be
topsoil.
modified on this?
The only difference is gonna be height
That-
things because of topsoil, which
Right,
might
we talked
have bearing on
about-
other things.
Um,
I just wanna do it before he retires for good. Mr.
because there was a concern that the lower wall is 4 feet, as we talked about when we went out with the building official. And if you were to raise that with topsoil so you don't have to put a railing essentially on that side.
Right, I did have what we referred to earlier this afternoon as an introductory conversation with Bill in the building department. I'm not gonna try to pronounce his last name.
Put your face.
Thank you. And I am gonna have further communication with him, and he understands I'm just looking for how to get to the finish line.
Does any of this conversation impact on our ability to make a decision?
I don't believe so, because, yeah, if there's anything at that point when Bill comes in, and just make sure it all fits building code for the walls, and you're gonna meet the height, yeah.
That's
I
what
think you
want.
can approve it from what he's got on these plans, if you wanted to.
Anything else? Anybody?
If I recall, I think Don LaPointe was trying to save Mr. Bates the expense of an as-built
Yeah.
drawing.
I-
And we're past that. He's
Yeah,
got it done.
you know,
That's my understanding as well. I think he's trying to do me a favor.
Yeah, that's how I recall.
No,
but
I'm,
this is-
all right, anything else to dot our i's and cross our t's? Somebody like to make a motion?
Where's Mary Ann when you need
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve IWWC 23-7 for 428 East Wakefield Boulevard. It's a modification of existing permit 20-42 to confirm the as-built survey. There are no contingency items necessary on this. The bond is already there, so.
Is there a second? Okay, just formality, is there a need for a public hearing?
no.
Okay. Any conditions, any bonds? The bond, there's still a bond in effect,
No,
I
I-
think, or that's been returned? I don't know either.
We'll find out.
All right, if there is no bond, I don't think there is a need, if there is still a bond, it hasn't been released to you,
Not
to
to
your
me.
knowledge. If there is no, if it's been released, is there a need for a bond to put this deck in?
It's in, isn't it?
It's already built.
Yes, so we don't need a bond at all. Okay. All right, anything else? All right, all those in favor of approval? It's unanimous. Thank you.
What a personality will do.
Sorry?
I said, what a personality will do.
So I'm done with wetlands with regards to the work that's on the drawing and the permit and everything. I don't have to see.
Unless you do something wrong.
No. I'm gonna be back there for other things.
Okay. All right.
Simple.
You driving home tonight, or you staying over?
I wish I could stay. No, I'm going.
All right, safe trip.
Thank you.
Take care, happy holiday to you.
I'll be here this weekend.
There you go. The next application is application 23-8. The applicant is Richard Jambrowski and Mary Ann LaCava. The applicant is Richard Jambrowski, and it's 29 Griswold Lane, and to install a well in an upland review area of Park Pond.
Well, correction to that, it's not on the pond, it's on the Winchester Club Pond.
It's on the what?
The Winchester Club Pond.
Hang on a minute.
It's on the top of Woodland.
You're supposed to fix that.
I know, I forgot for the updated agenda, sorry.
No problem.
Okay,
I'm Richard Dabrowski, good
thank you
evening.
very much. Please talk to us about your proposal.
Well, we would like to have a permanent potable water supply in our house. And as you could see by the plan that, the site plan that was submitted, we have very few locations on that property where we could actually do that, with regard to meeting all of the requirements for setback from the septic system and property lines and such. So, the one location that was staked out or designated when we designed and put the new septic system in 2018 when we bought the property. I asked Mike Sherman, who was the engineer on all this, to locate the well at that time. And if you look at, the dimensions on this, it can't vary by more than a few feet for that location. There just is no other place. The problem with that location, it is patently impossible to get a well drilling rig in there. It's just not possible, without clearing the lot next door that I don't own. So, we want to put in a dug well.
What's the topography like? It's all ledge or no ledge, or that's a clean spot where you can dig?
Yeah, it's a clean spot. I mean, were we gonna hit rocks down below there? Well, there's rocks all over the place, so, no, I don't know.
What do you do for water now there?
Gallon jugs.
Oh, okay.
We draw, I've got a shallow well pump that pumps water from the pond, you know, to have a, it's a non-potable domestic water supply.
Right, yeah.
I have to drain it every winter, every fall.
Okay, so you just come up for a season, you're a summer.
Right, it's a
Yeah,
seasonal, it's a three-season building, and I think I included some photos there. You can see the current water, you know, supplies.
Have you ever been thought to driving a point?
Excuse me?
Have you ever been thought to driving a point? Is it gravelly?
You know, my thoughts here, that location, that's here, is got one benefit in that, there is always, it's always wet in that section. There are two portions on this property that, are just, you know, wet areas that seep, towards the pond, from the watershed behind us.
Let me ask you one question. Now, you're gonna do a dug well. Have you gotten or talked to the health district about
I have.
having a dug well?
I have, yeah, and they have no regulations about dug wells.
Okay.
That's the reason, the plan that I submitted here is actually from the New Hampshire Department of Agriculture, because Connecticut has no,
There's no setback from the septic systems and any of that stuff?
well,
With
there
the
is
dug
setback
well.
from the septic system.
Yeah, no, I know that,
Right.
but you're saying there were no regulations. There's gotta be something out there for a dug well.
Well, there's nothing that Julie knew of that, where they regulate anything about dug wells. She looked and could find nothing.
So you'd have to go to the health district to get a permit for it. You can't
Actually, she
drink
says,
out
we
of it.
can't give you a permit on something that we don't permit. They don't have a method to do that.
That's true. That's true, huh?
Do you have a letter to that effect, or anything to substantiate, and I'm not questioning your integrity, I'm saying that.
I don't have it right now. It's been from a number of phone calls back and forth.
Only
between-
because if
between
you had
Julie and I.
something to that effect and it was in your file with us, then it would sort of clear up any kind of conversation in a negative sense down the road. So,
It'd protect you on future sale of your home too, if you had
Well,
something stating that it was.
I think you'll take my wife out of that place feet first, so I'm not too worried about that.
So the septic tank is in now?
Oh, yeah, the tank
so
is in,
that's-
and
all right,
this
so
is
this
the
is just
what
the
you're looking
plan.
at here is the as-built of the septic system.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
We want to dig a hole in the ground. That's pretty much what I'm asking for, is the permission to dig a hole in the ground where it says.
And all the spoils are leaving that area? You're not mounding up, you're not leaving anything there, you're taking all.
Oh, yeah, no, there'll be nothing left,
how deep do you think you have to go?
12 feet. Maximum,
You're gonna be a 3-foot wide, 4-foot wide well.
yeah, probably 3 feet.
And that's just dug with a backhoe?
We're gonna be dug with an excavator, yeah.
Yeah, that's good, yeah.
Stone at the bottom, stone lining the sides, a little bit of, a little bit of a mound around it so that, so that ground, surface water flows around the thing.
What's gonna prevent the side stones from caving in?
Oh, it's a concrete pipe.
Oh, it's a concrete
Yeah, it's a
pipe gonna
3-foot
go-
concrete.
Gonna go into it.
Yeah, there'll be probably a couple of 6-foot sections with a cap. It's a hole in the ground.
Would we
Essentially
have some
what it
erosion
is.
control, or I can't see, I mean,
Nothing on there yet.
there's nothing on there for erosion control. How steep is your lot is?
It levels off in that area. There's a fair grade from right at the house location to about 2/3 of the way to that area. There's a steady grade.
I mean, traditionally, I do think we'd probably agree that you would want a silt fence.
Oh, absolutely, oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I mean, we certainly don't want,
Right.
we don't want anything going into the pond water. And, I mean,
But that's not on
anything
this
that washed
plan.
in there
Right.
would spoil our beach, so we will certainly put up a silt fence. And the contractor that's gonna do this is the same guy that built the septic system.
What's the distance between the well where you're proposing it and, your property line or the water line?
20 and 30.
25 feet, I think, in both directions.
23 feet from the water,
Yeah.
and, or from the property line at the water.
And all of the equipment used to do this is gonna be strictly through your property, no neighbors or anything else?
That's correct. That's correct.
I've seen that stuff, yeah. I've seen those dimensions. I was just measuring, okay.
Thank you. Do you have to have this approved through your, do you have a homeowners association there?
We do not have to have it approved for the association. The association exists simply to manage the common areas.
Like the dam,
and
if you have a
the
dam
dam,
on there,
the
yeah.
dam, the club, the common club property,
Right.
and obviously the water quality.
Okay, that begs the question now, do we need a public hearing?
I don't believe we need a public hearing, but I do believe we need a detail of the erosion control and stuff that's gonna take place down there, and an area on, not to add insult to injury here, but an area on how you're accessing, your access area going down there. You know what I mean? Is you're coming up around the septic tank?
Oh, yeah, if you look at, if you look on that drawing, you can see where there's the edge of, I guess it's drawn in here, the edge of all the rocks and through there. We just come right along that area, right along those rocks.
I mean, you don't have a lot of material coming out by any means, but some material.
Yeah, a lot of
is
it's gonna go
coming out.
back, you
Okay,
know.
some of it's getting sloped off to the side, but
Right.
I think, you know, honestly, I think, like he's saying, he's gonna slope off from the well casing, okay, which is a concrete casing. So depending on how far you're sloping off, now you're encroaching more into the wetland, you're in the
Closer
wetland.
to the lake.
Closer to the lake. So we have to have a,
Yeah, and, you know, we're probably talking about slipping off, 3 feet and
not
everything.
a sticker, but I think we need just a little bit more detail on
So, are
it.
we
It doesn't
just
have to come to
accepting
the
this?
commission, you know. we can
Well,
do
I
the
mean,
eight.
if we want more detail, why don't we condition it?
Are we accepting it tonight, or?
No,
we
no, we're
accepting it
not. You know
before?
why? I'm glad you raised that question. I was in error, the last month's meeting, thinking that, this is new business, so yes, we can conduct it, but I think being it was on the old agenda,
Right.
we can move ahead. and
For
it's-
3 weeks ago, or for February?
From the February meeting.
It was on the
Was it
agenda
on the
for
February meeting? I don't,
Actually, maybe not.
No, it was on the March meeting.
Last
Yep,
month.
March.
Okay.
so
we
it was
could-
on the
we
March
could just
meeting, so
accept it.
technically it was accepted in March.
So why don't we just?
Well, we didn't talk
No,
about it.
No, we
We
didn't.
didn't do it.
Again, in talking to Pam,
Okay.
I erroneously thought that business that was considered old business last month, 2 weeks
Right,
ago,
yeah, that mix up,
like,
right.
I'm just using by example,
Right.
the Cumberland Farms application and Boros application, they were listed as old businesses. Because we canceled the March meeting and the application was in for the March meeting, for the, no,
We canceled February.
February meeting.
the February meeting, we canceled the February meeting. Technically, the application was accepted at a non-existent meeting because it was handed in before the meeting.
Okay, but we would have had the opportunity to accept it the third Wednesday in March, the meeting I missed.
Right.
And approve it mid-April. In the meeting we have in 2 weeks.
Yeah, except we didn't get to see it. 'cause it
Right,
went
so
to
you
a
can
little
see it.
long,
So
right.
is it possible that we could accept it tonight? Ask them to get better detailed
We
plans?
We can accept
We
it.
can do that.
Put it back in the agenda in 2 weeks.
Yeah, I certainly can provide the detail that you
Yeah,
need, sure.
so
Yeah,
we can.
accept and then come back.
2 weeks.
Yeah, I see
in
what
the
you're
normal
saying. We're
meeting.
not approving it
And then
tonight,
come back
we're
in the
accepting
normal
it.
meeting. The April
Yes.
meeting.
But you'd have to wait
2 weeks.
30 days from the last meeting anyways. So he's not really losing any time.
Well, the normal meeting would be in 2 weeks.
Right.
So the question is, do you want to be put on that normal meeting where you would have what we're asking for by then?
And what are you asking for?
Silt fence defect details?
So that's detail or just a,
Access details.
an access.
Okay,
give
and,
me a
and,
chance,
and,
I'll go
and
see
and in
the
what
site.
format would you like to see that? Can I add it to, can I take a sketch from this drawing here and show you exactly where that silt fence is gonna go?
I'd be fine with it.
And the depth, it's actually gonna be exactly the same as we did when we put the septic system in.
You know, it's just color coded so that, you know, if we get to see it or you hold it up, at least we see something that less
Yeah,
convoluted.
I'll do that. I'll make sure that Lance gets it with copies so that it could be distributed to you, and you'll see that. I'll show you where the access is. I'll even include a couple of photographs, because you can see exactly how
Try to get up and see it before the next meeting.
how that access is, and, sure, yeah, that's easy enough. I can appreciate your concern.
What do you feel the timeframe is? What do you think?
I would like to not have to go through the rigmarole of getting the existing water supply going. You know, we're gonna open the building up, probably, next week.
The only thing,
It's a couple days' job. I mean, I've got the contractor is just waiting for the permit, you know, waiting for the go-ahead, saying that you guys, you know, said it's all right, and,
So if we approve it in 2 weeks, that's quick enough for you?
well,
yeah, that's quick enough.
the only other thing that you have to add to your plan is unless you're gonna carry it from the well in buckets up to the house.
Well, it's, there, obviously, I would,
We need.
there's
the
a
we need
trench
the
going to the
trench
house.
detail. That's what I'm saying, we're not complete. That's,
Yeah, give
For
us
us
a
to-
true scope of the work that's occurring. It shows the pipe that's gotta come back to your
Yeah,
house.
okay, I mean, it's gonna be a trench below frost line.
Right, the more you can give us that detail, the more we can see.
How far is the house from there, foot-wise?
About 70,
55 feet.
75 feet in that area to the front of the house. The house is 20 feet wide, so it's
55 feet.
55 feet, yeah.
And the property, although you don't know, but the question is still, you think you're gonna be able to go down 4 feet for 50 or 60 feet without hitting ledge and?
I don't think we'll hit, well, we won't hit ledge. Might be a rock or two. There's no shortage of rocks in that place. I owned property in Heartland for 40 years. I never thought I'd find a place that had more rocks than Heartland.
Any other issues that we'd like to come back, for the gentleman to come back with for the regular meeting in 2 weeks?
And you feel you're clear of what we're looking for more details?
So you're
trench?
looking for a trench detail, you're looking for access detail, and you're looking for the detail of the silt fence.
Right.
What I plan to do is to take a section of this drawing that you have in front of you and to add that by hand, okay, color code it, and then give you copies of that, along with a couple of photographs that show.
Give us just a, from the center of the well to the toe of your embankment. That, you know what I mean?
Okay,
Slope center of the
yeah,
well.
I could put a circle around the circle that's here.
Correct. That'll give us- So we're within our parameters.
And do we want anything from the Torrington Health Department? I think it's essential.
I think it's essential for him, but it's not essential. I mean, he could be digging that well, as far as our commission.
Well, he's saying that, though.
But he could be digging that well to water his lawn, for all we care. He's in here for just a dug well permit. Nothing.
Thank you.
North Central, or the Central, doesn't have anything to do with us. I don't believe. I don't think, I personally don't feel we can ask him for that. I think that's.
Jeff?
I think Jerry probably has a good point. It's not our responsibility. Is it for us to say if that's a legitimate design for the well? It probably isn't. And we're concerned about how he's gonna handle topography and and whatever's gonna happen to the watershed.
If we were looking at it in a different perspective here, if the gentleman wants to put a dug well in, he wants to run a line back to the building, that's what that's what we're covering, right there. He could run it back to the building, run it through a pump and just have it for irrigation. You know what I mean? Whether he's gonna drink it or not isn't
If this were a drilled well,
correct.
my sense is he would need approval from Torrington Health for
Correct.
certain stipulations.
Correct.
And that's why I approached them.
Are we
And
sure?
that's
Are
after
we
when they-
sure? Because I'm not.
Would we require that permit from?
He'd have to show, he would have to,
But let's require a letter from Torrington.
yeah, we would, the applicant would be required to show us a letter from Torrington Health. And I'm saying,
Well, that'll help him, like you said, later on with his property, if any time questions his property, he has that letter.
right, and my comfort level is.
I don't know.
Let's believe him.
I'm still gonna dig the hole, okay? I don't know. As I said, they were flustered because they had no answer.
Let's turn it
So
around.
I can't guarantee that they're gonna have an answer for you, it's just like they didn't have an answer for me.
The answer to us would be that they have no concern.
Right.
Yeah, let's go this way. Could you give Torrington Health a call?
Yeah, I could talk to Julie.
find
Yeah.
out what
Just
if
ask
there's
her
any
for-
stipulation. And if there is, then provide us with some kind of a cover letter, say there's no stipulation, he can basically do whatever he'd like. And if there is a stipulation, then let's be sure that we respect that stipulation. Okay, so the onus will be on Lance.
Great.
And, we'll go from there. So we're gonna accept this application.
Right.
We don't need a public hearing.
No.
And,
Goes on the
any
schedule
other
for next
concerns?
week.
Are you clear as to what we're asking for with regard to everything but what Lance is going to do?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay, good.
I believe so.
If there's any
I think the good news on this from a wetland standpoint is that this project is actually gonna create less mess than a drilled well would.
Yeah, oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, you know, the way you pump a drill well and the, way, you know, the process of doing that would be
A lot of,
a real challenge to keep all that material from flowing into the pond, that, you know, being so close. In this case here, we're gonna put a pile of dirt on the side, put this whole thing in,
Before
put
we-
most of the dirt back in the hole, and then cart away to what's left.
Before we move to a vote, on the top of the application I have in front of him, I have some notes that I didn't write on my form. March is a meeting at 7 PM. Is this your writing? On the top right-hand corner?
That was, Mr. Stankoff's writing, when he gave me the.
Oh, okay, so this is
uh,
the information he provided
That's
you.
the information he provided to me on the original form when
Now,
he gave it to me.
what, is there a modification of this? Because that's what it says, modification 18-25.
I think it's because he saw 1825 was where this drawing came from.
Oh, yeah, because that's when you put 2018 was when you did this, so.
That was the septic system. So it's really not a modification.
It's not a modification.
It's not. I mean, this is, I'm using the drawing because it's a good drawing.
No, the reason why I asked it, if it were a modification, we can move ahead and approve or deny your application tonight, but it's not.
Just,
Okay.
how do you define it? I mean,
Okay.
it doesn't seem as though it is to me. I mean, I don't know how you define it.
All right, all those in favor of accepting the application 23-8, the proposal is to install a well for portable water supply in accordance with the site plan drawing revision 3 dated 11/28/18. That's the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Russ, all those of favor of accepting the application? It's unanimous? Okay, thank you very much. So we'll see you in
Thank
2
you.
weeks.
Okay.
If you can make it,
I can make it.
okay?
Any chance you'll be home at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning?
What do you mean by home?
Well, there.
There? No, but I can be there on Friday.
Do you mind if I go? I can't do Friday, but do you mind if I just
no,
go down?
go ahead.
Okay.
Just, you know,
I don't really need you there. I just wanted to finally see it, so,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, go ahead.
Thanks.
I mean, if you have any questions, call me. Do you have my phone number?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I think with an active application, I can just go, but I figured I'd ask you.
No, I appreciate it. That's polite. That's a polite thing to do. I do appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you.
All right, before we get into the next application, and look at the application, and then I'll ask the applicants to come forward. It was submitted on March 9th. Okay? So that would have been prior to the March meeting.
right.
Okay. And the March meeting, we didn't conclude business, correct? They were on the agenda for the March meeting. So technically, if we want, we can accept, if we're satisfied, and approve it because it was scheduled to be on the March meeting.
Or just accept, either one.
It's been accepted technically already. The only reason why, like we just did with this application, is that we're asking for more information, so it's not complete to our satisfaction.
So, but as in the past application, we wouldn't have had to approve it until mid-April.
We would have accepted it on the March meeting, and
we would have
technically the
approved
March
it.
meeting,
In April, 2 weeks from now.
so what are you saying? That we were only, your sense is
Wouldn't have
we
been
should only
approved until-
accept?
Well,
Well, let's take a look at what we
yeah,
got,
I
right?
think we
Well-
should look at it, but, I mean, I haven't had a chance to look at the property, look at the site. You know, this is the first I'm getting it, so,
Well,
You know,
yeah.
unless it's crystal clear, I'd like a couple weeks to, do our due diligence.
Yeah.
Show up. I was sick. You don't know, I would've come, but Steve told me to stay home.
You were sick.
I was sick.
You were
I
sick.
would've been here, coughing all over you, Gary.
Keep it up, we told you to stay home tonight, we would've been home already. All right, the next application is, 118 Shore Drive, the number is 23-9, the applicant is L. Peter Seska, and they're asking to to build an additional to the existing deck. Okay, please introduce yourselves.
Peter Seska, 118 Shore Drive.
I'm Candace, this is Mike.
We would like to put an addition on our deck, which would involve installing 11 piers where we intend to use a techno metal post. It's a helical pile that just screws into the ground. And wrap the area with silt fence for any erosion control.
All right, I visited the site.
Yeah, I have two.
And, what's existing there now on the ground is a patio, and the proposal basically is to put a deck above the patio. And the only work beyond the patio would be to install the tubes or the apparatus that's going to be used to support the deck. Other than that, there's no other digging, to my
Correct,
knowledge.
Correct. Well, I want to, that's not even considered digging.
Well, yeah, but that's it.
You know, I know those helix screws that you use. I actually haven't seen one, and I'm in construction. I haven't seen one. I've only seen them down in southern areas. What happens
They
when you?
just installed them on Perch Rock Trail
Oh, okay.
last week, or 2 weeks ago.
What is the scenario though if you're not able to get that down in there? The rocks are just too big. Do you then bore a sonotube instead of that?
I suppose that's the last
Right.
resort, but
Yeah.
he'll move them. I know
Right.
from the ones they installed, if he hits something, he'll move them to whatever.
Right, but there's only so much you can move
Right.
it, right? I mean, when you hit the big rock, it's usually you sort of pin to what's
Mhm.
there.
I
Go
guess
ahead.
the worst result is we'll have to dig a hole and put a sonotube down and
Right.
pour concrete.
So this is, I don't know if you're
Yeah.
familiar, you know,
It's a-
but yeah, it's
it's a
screws,
rotor
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Rotor, yeah.
Hopefully, it will, you
Yeah,
know, you never
hopefully
know.
they go right in and
Yeah.
you're right where you want.
Like the gentleman before, no matter where you dig around here, you're gonna hit
Well,
something.
Yeah, I mean,
That's for sure.
But, well, it's 20 years now. I did the foundation for our addition, and we had no issue getting down,
Right.
so.
So it probably is a good.
20 years.
Yeah, that was- yeah.
Seems like yesterday.
The site is pretty level from
Yes.
the patio to the water.
Yeah, it's very low.
And then we're 40, I believe 43 feet from the water.
How many 40s?
43?
Yeah.
There's no pervious issues because it's deck, so.
It's deck, right.
How many sonotubes? Or how many?
There's 11 total.
11 total?
That many?
I think they have them every 6 feet. And we're going to spanning the length of the house plus the deck, so it's almost 40 feet.
You had to get a ZBA approval too, didn't you?
Pardon?
Did you ever get a ZBA approval too?
Yes. We had that last week. We
What,
got that
how many
last week.
square feet is it?
How many square feet?
Yeah. Just
The
curious.
addition is like 550.
That should be nice.
It's getting tough going up down the stairs when everybody's here and eating outside.
You know, it's a very flat, it's a very flat lot. I mean, I just don't see very much erosion issues
No.
there.
Well, it's helical too, so you shouldn't, you know what I mean, you're not gonna get a lot coming out. You know what I mean, minimal. Well, you're
The digging could be done in one day?
But it's screwing
If
down, yeah.
we can get all the piles in, yeah. I know from the ones they just did, I had a video, I don't know if it took 5 minutes to do one pile. took them longer to chop the ice out of the way than it did to screw in the.
There's really no excavation.
No, no. To clean.
To start bouncing around from your rocks.
All right, first question, do we need a public hearing?
No.
I think they're making all they got the ZBA approval. Do you have a public hearing for ZBA?
Well, I put the sign up and all of that.
Did you?
yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm just.
Mailed out.
Yeah, so we went through ZBA, you had to have all that.
Yep.
All right,
I'd be okay accept it and approve it today, if that's the way you guys want to go. Probably want to get started right away.
Sooner the better.
well, technically,
Next week is pretty nice.
we would have accepted it on the 9th.
On the
Not
9th,
on the 9th, on
the
the
15th.
March meeting.
Right.
So, in effect, because
catching up.
we didn't get to their business on the meeting, it was accepted at that point automatically.
Okay.
So we can accept and approve, or if it's been accepted, we can approve.
Pretty
Do we
cut and
have
dry,
anything we
so-
need to see, I guess, right, that
Go
was
ahead,
your question, right, do we have anything we need to see from you guys that,
There enough detail.
right, is there enough detail on what we have in front of us to make a determination?
I mean,
that-
the only thing that what else are we gonna see other than a picture of you coil?
Yeah, no, I'm sort of,
really
I'm just
not-
proposing
Yeah.
that also, I'm
Yeah,
just
I
sort
don't
of.
think
Do we need a
agreeing
silt,
with
do we
everybody.
need a silt fence or hay bales or anything?
I'll run silt fence.
I
That's
would,
not-
you'd like to see a silt fence
Yeah,
only so that
that's not a problem.
we can stay consistent
Yep.
with the
That's
projects
fine.
that we have going on.
And you asked about a picture of the helical coil, there is one.
That's what I'm saying, the only piece you have to
Yeah,
have.
On the plans for the deck.
Familiar with it,
But
so-
that's it, I would just like to see a silt fence myself.
Okay. Any
We'll
bond?
make that a make that a condition.
Yeah,
No, it's standard.
He has a video.
the silt fence is standard.
It's an all good.
1 to 12 should be standard.
So why the fancy
All right,
name?
let's make sure, use the
Why
language.
the fancy name? Longer.
It costs more than it's the engineering job that costs more money. The
Bill
professional
Meadow
engineer
Post.
can make a
I can, I'll put it up.
Okay, is there a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to accept and approve IWWC 23-9 for 118 Shore Drive, Winstead addition to an existing deck, with the following condition, which we'll call item number 14, that a silt fence be placed during construction. There's not a need for item 13 of our cash and sedimentation control bond. I think that should cover it if there's a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion on it? All those in favor? Good luck.
Thank you.
Have fun.
Thank you.
Before you begin, just let Lance know that when you're going to start.
Okay.
And make
You'll
sure,
see me on your camera again. No problem. I'll swing by.
and just make sure the silt fence is up before you begin any work.
Yep, absolutely.
And, we're good, okay?
Now, as far as the silt fence, once piles are in, do we need to keep the silt
I don't
fence when
think
they're
so.
actually building the deck?
Unless you have a lot of disturbed ground, you know what I mean, if they disturbed a lot, there's a lot of,
No, hope not.
any soil coming out 3 or 4 feet, you know, make it, that's gonna make a determination on that, I think.
Yeah, let's just be in touch and it'd be appropriate to take it off.
Yeah, I will.
Okay.
I, thank you.
Love to have it not one of those projects where we drive around a lake and we see silt fence and stuff, you know, for 6 months.
You know, it's probably gonna tear that up more. The silt fence may take more, tear
I-
up more.
Does.
Good night, have a good holiday.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys.
You know, in a case like that, excuse me a minute.
All right, let's try to,
We gotta look at something here.
go ahead.
In a case like that, we're better off to go, because there's not a lot of erosion, not not material being moved, better off going with a log.
A what?
A log, it's this big around, comes in rolls, and it's a siltation log. When you put silt fence in, you have
You're
to dig
digging
a
holes,
trench,
yeah.
so, you know, I mean, if you wanna talk to them even on a log, I would think,
Be easier to do.
appropriate.
Less intrusive by
Less
all
invasive,
means.
yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's a better method. I think it's a cheaper method and easier method for people.
For a really flat
Do you
lot.
have access to anything in writing that would show us that we could look at?
I could get something from,
You know,
yeah,
ask
but
Pam
it's a
to,
common, it is a common
then,
use.
then ask
We
Pam,
use on
then
major
ask Pam,
jobs.
ask Pam to put it in our meeting for next 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
We could
could
talk
do
about it.
He'll know what it is.
What's that?
I'm sure he'll know what it is.
Yeah, but,
He's instructions.
Yeah, but it's just, as a commission, the commission should look at that. as
okay,
an
has there been
alternative.
any agent determinations? I think you had one, I
Yeah,
don't know if you did it, but.
I did. I actually
Okay.
went out, and I'm gonna give you a report for the April 19th meeting. So I went out to 257 Colebrook Road to just determine there was no erosion. It's a very muddy and a steep site, but there's actually no impact going on into the river, which is good. I was gonna give them some mitigation to try to help them stabilize just where they're walking their dogs in the pathway. There was some other things that came up that I talked quickly with Stephen about. They're inquiring about a potential new bridge on the property, a little bit further up so they can access the 13 acres from the rear. I didn't know who to start with, but Stephen said if you come in for an application for it, so I'm gonna make that recommendation to them. They also asked me a question about water wheels. It has an interesting old mill site, and he was wondering if you were to put in a water wheel, what would be involved tonight. I'm assuming that's a deep question. I have no idea.
This is the one that they park on the other side and go,
Yeah,
that we
near
went
the
last
footbridge.
week, last meeting we talked, they were doing some repair on it.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, okay.
Yep, so their roof is all set, their permit for that is fine. Once they get the violation resolved, they can go in for the building permit for the renovation work on the addition, well, it's not really addition, but the house that they rebuilt. But yeah, I didn't really see any problems for wetlands